Hello guys, you're welcome to the official YouTube channel for Helpings Crypto Academy, and my name is Precious. I'm a trader with Helpings Crypto Academy. Right, Helpings Crypto Academy is an academy that teaches a very unique model or system of trading the financial market, which is popularly known as statistical arbitrage or pairstrading. Right, but before I go into what we have today, if you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, go click on the button below to subscribe so you can follow up on our useful content on statistical arbitrage or pairstrading. Right, so for today we'll strictly talk about correlation coefficients rather. So I'm going to teach you how to calculate the correlation of two commodities or two assets using the Pearson's correlation coefficients. Right, so firstly, the first thing I'm going to do is to write down the formula on the board so you can understand the formula first of all. Then I'll tell you the parameters that are involved before we go into our calculation for today. So come over. So we have the R equals to summation X Y all over roots brackets summation X square brackets summation Y square. So this is our formula, the Pearson's correlation formula for today. But then we will proceed to the calculation proper. Now, in calculating for the correlation, we're taking two assets or two commodities, right? Which is the US oil, the WTI, the US oil, or I use crude oil, or in bracket WTI, and the Brent crude, right? So these two assets, we're going to make use of these two assets, of which the crude oil is assets X, while the Brent crude is assets Y. So for me to proceed, I'm going to wipe up the board, or you can take note of the formula and the two assets that we're making use of, so we can go into the calculation proper. Okay, now we're going to draw a very simple table. Like I said, it's not a difficult calculation. So we're drawing this very simple table which contains the X variables or the X commodity, which is the crude oil. So I'm going to use C above, and then the Y, which is the Brent. Right, so we'll draw a straight line, and then we'll draw another straight line, and then we'll draw X, mean X, which above. To get it, you get X minus mean X, right? And then another straight line, and then we'll draw right mean Y, of which is Y minus mean Y, to get this value. Then we'll draw another straight line, and then we'll write the X square, and then another straight line, the Y square, another straight line, and the X Y, right? The summation X Y. So it's summation mean X and mean Y. Product of mean X and mean Y, right? So now I'm going to show you the simple steps to calculate the individual values, right? Of which the first thing I'm going to do is to impute the values. So you go to investopedia.com. I'll write it below here. investing.com. So you go to investing.com, you check out the prices of these two commodities over the past 5 days, right? So we're checking out their prices for the last 5 days. So now in checking their prices, I've already gotten the parameter for the prices, of which is going to be displayed on your screen, right, as at the time when the figures were checked or the numbers were checked. So for the crude oil, which is commodity X, right, we have 86.38. On the one, we have 82.79, Day 3 we have 82.31. Day 4 we have 84.22, and then lastly day 5 we have 89.23. So these are the valuables, that's the closing prices for the crude oil, right, which is the WTI. Then we have the figures for the Brent crude, which is commodity Y, right, which is the first day was 88.15. The second one was 84.58, right? The third one is 84.07. The fourth one is 85.81, and then finally the fifth one is 90.92, so 90.92, right? 90.92 rather. Okay, now the first thing you want to do is to calculate for the mean of commodity X and the mean of commodity Y, right? So in calculating for the mean of commodity X, you're going to add I'll put it here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So we have 5 Ds. So you're going to add, you're summing these guys together, the total of commodity, the price of commodity X for the past 5 days. You will sum them together and divide them by 5, right? Now, in summing them up together and dividing by 5, we're having the summation of this commodity X gives us 424.93, 424.93, right? And you divide by 5, right? We're getting 84.99. So the value of this guy is 84.99, right? So we're doing the same thing for commodity Y, which is the Brent crude, right? So we do the summation of this guy to give us the summation of this guy, divide by 5, that's the value, right? We're getting 86.7. So we have 86.70, right? On this, so now we have our mean for the both of them, right? Now, to get this guy, pay attention carefully. We have to do X minus mean X. Now you do 86.38 minus 84.99, which is mean X, right? 86.38 minus 84.99. So 86.38 minus 84.99 gives us 1.39, right? Now I've already calculated this, and then I'm just going to impute the figure, but then I just showed you how to calculate for the first one, of which I said you're going to do 86.38 minus 84.99, which gives us 1.39. So we're calculating this same thing across board for all these figures. So I'm imputing their figures here. We have minus 2.2 minus 2.68, we have minus 0.77, we have 4.24, right? Now we've gotten this for mean X. Now we do the same thing for mean Y, right? In doing the same thing for mean Y, we follow the same process. It's 8.15 minus 86.70, right? Now in doing this, I'll impute the same figures. We have 1.45, we have minus 2.12, we have minus 2.63, minus 2.63, we have minus 0.89, minus 0.89, and then lastly we have 4.22, right? This is our value for this guy. Now to get X squared, what do? You say 1.39 square minus 2.2 square minus 2.68 square minus 0.77 square 4.24 square. Same with this, right? So minus 1.39 square, right, gives us 1.93 for X squared. We have 1.93, right? Now impute the figures, the same calculation. 1.39 square giving us 1.93, right? So 1.93 for the first one and 4.84 for the second one, and then we have 7.18 for the third one, and then we have 0.51 for the fourth one, and then we have 17.98 for the last one, right? So the same calculation you're doing for y square, right, that you just did for this, so we'll do 1.45 square. So 1.45 square is giving us 2.10. I'll impute all the figures. So we have 4.49, and then thirdly we have 6.91, and then fourthly we have 0.79, and then lastly we have 17.81. So these are the figures for x square and y square, right? Now to get the product of mean x, y, what we do is we multiply mean x by mean y, which is 1.39 by 1.45, right? So 1.39 times 1.45, doing the calculation, you get 2.02 for the first one, right? I'll impute the figure, but then you know the sequence in which this was calculated, right? So we do 2.02 for the first one, we have 4.66 for the second one, we have 7.05 for the third one, and then we have 0.69 for the fourth one, and then lastly we have 7.89, right? Now remember our formula, the formula we had, right, which says r equals to summation x y over roots brackets summation x square brackets summation y square, right? Don't forget this formula, very important. So now this is we'll still come back to this formula, but then we have to first of all get the parameters, the values that will replace this formulas, right? So in coming to this, let's first of all get summation of xy. Now this is summation of xy. So summation of xy, if you add those figures all up together, right, the value we get here is 32.31, right? Now this is summation x square, right? In summation x square, the value we get is 32.44, right? Summation x square, this is x square, so summation x square we get 32.44. While summation y square we get 32.1. So we've gotten the individual summations for this figure, and this figure, because these figures are going to replace us in this formula, right? So now to get our final answer, to know if these two commodities are correlated for the past 5 days, right? Now we're going to bring our figures down to this point to get the final answer. So I hope you don't mind if I wipe off this whole calculations, right? Okay, let's just make use of this guy under. So these figures, now let us impute them. So summation xy, right, which is this guy, we come here, we say r equals to 32.31 divided by roots, the root of 32.44 brackets close and 32.1 brackets close, right? So this is what we have. These are the values that we have, right? Now the first thing you want to do is to first of all get the product of this guy, that's x square and y square, right? Summation x square and summation y square. So in getting the product of these two guys, right, the figure we get is after doing the calculation, we then have 32.31 all over roots 104.32, right? Now then we get the roots of 1041.32, right? So in getting root of 1041.32, you can do your calculation. What you get next is 32.31 divided by 32.27, right? So let's come back to here. So let me wipe off part of this place because we're using a small board to do this calculation, but then I hope you're following. So we have 32.31 32.31 divide 32.27, right? Now, by the time you do this calculation, you'll find out that R, right, which is the correlation coefficient, is equal, the relationship, more like the correlation coefficient, right, is equals to 1.00, right? So we could say at the end of this calculation that the stock of the commodity X, which is the crude oil WTI, and the commodity Y, which is the Brent crude, right, they are perfectly correlated, right? Because this is 1.00. So at this point of this calculation, at this point where we derive these values and we make this calculation using Pearson's correlation to find the correlation between these two commodities, right, we're having 1.0, which is perfectly correlated, right? So if you want to understand how to actually make use of this system, this correlation coefficients, the calculation for correlation to trade statistical arbitrage to become profitable consistently, right? As the video is going on, you're going to see some of the results, our trading results, how I grew, made 70% within a period of 1 month, 1 week plus 2 days, right? Actually make these profits consistently using this model, using this statistical approach to trade the financial market, right? So in Help Me Crypto Academy, you can actually learn how to make these calculations possible. We have parameters that can make this even very easier than it's looking currently, right? So come into our classes, follow us on our social media platforms. You can send us a DM using our Facebook, our Instagram, right? And then also stay subscribed to our YouTube channel to get more valuable content on statistical arbitrage, pairs trading, so you can actually make monies for yourself, right? Thank you. See you guys next time. Have a great day.